Welcome back to the Moyne Way Podcast, where we explore the people, ideas, and everyday moments that shape life here at Moyne College, told through authentic stories, open conversations, and the spirit that make this community one of purpose and belonging. Thanks for joining me, your host, Isaiah Salter, this week on the Moyne Way Podcast, and I am blessed to be in the presence of the one and only Meredith Tornabene. Meredith, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. So you are the Director for Career Advising and Development. Before we dive into your background, can you kind of just give an overall perspective on what that is and kind of what your role details?
Yeah, absolutely. So at Moyne, we have a career center that serves all students, undergraduates, graduate students across all majors. And we're really here for everything from when students aren't really sure what the future holds, what could they do with this major, so that career exploration phase, and every step in between to the point where you are ready to launch. You are ready to apply. You are ready to go get that opportunity, whether it's graduate school, a job, full-time volunteering after school, right? So I lead a fantastic team. You've had some of them on this podcast before, so you know. And we're really just trying to make sure we're meeting students where they are and taking what can be a pretty stressful process and making it as less stressful as we can.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm sure it can be. I know when I was in college navigating like what I wanted to do, what direction I wanted to go, there was just so many questions and uncertainty, and it can create a lot of uncomfortable emotions.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, okay, now leading up to you being in this role, give me some background and context that kind of shaped you into who you were, maybe like that's childhood, where you were born, things like that. And then we'll talk a little bit about like the middle age and stuff.
Yeah. So I grew up in Connecticut and just went public schools my whole life. And I don't know. I'm like, to me, if I have to think about my career and like what really made the difference, in high school, I was really involved in my school newspaper. Shout out to the Dolphin.
Okay. It was the Dolphin?
No, it was not. But I'm just to my fellow peeps who enjoy writing for the newspaper. And at the time, like I didn't know why. My parents were very much like, "You're going to college," and I was like, okay. Wasn't sure where to go, and it was my advisor for my newspaper who was like, well, if you think you might like journalism, then there's only you. I think you should go to Syracuse University. Wow. And between you and me, I had never heard of it before. Was not a big. Yeah, I was like.
Yeah, that was just not a thing.
Sounds like a foreign place to me. And so it was like, and that's just an example of like it was my teachers and the people and again in the classroom, but also that was the beginning of me, like it was things outside of the classroom where teachers were having impacts on my life.
Yeah,
right?
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So then I took that advice and I ended up going to that other school across the way. And it really was my involvement outside of class that shaped who I was, and I think like really made my college experience. And it was the guidance that I got from my advisors about the way, right, feedback about the way I was leading, about, like just, and life in general, right? Yeah. You end up talking to these, because I saw them sometimes more than I saw my professors, because we're in meetings, we're figuring things out, budgets, all my student club people know how that rolls. And so it was that I just realized, like one day I looked at one of my advisors and I was like, how did you get this job? And she was like, oh, I went to grad school.
Wow.
And that thought I had never, going to college, okay, but it had never occurred to me to keep going.
To grad school, yeah.
Exactly. And so, yeah, it like I would say throughout my childhood, like, again, whether the teachers in the classroom and those experiences outside of it led me to realizing, like, okay, like when I thought about where do I feel like my skills are shining, like where, and I feel like what I'm doing comes naturally to me. And when I'm doing it, like time Like, right, you had Leslie on this podcast before, and she's a big believer in design thinking and designing your life. And one of the concepts is like finding out where you have a state of flow, right? Like you're doing work. Passes. Yeah. And it doesn't feel like, right? And listen, every job has parts of it that feel like work. Very true. Okay, so please stop trying to find some dream job. Okay. Maybe like ice cream flavor tester if you can get into that. But besides that, I can't really.
Or movie watcher.
Yes.
You gotta watch the movies before
you've got some ideas. But beyond that, it's hard. Mm-hmm. And so when I thought about like college, like classes, everything, what I loved the most was being a peer advisor. So I had an opportunity from my sophomore year on to mentor an incoming first-year student. Okay. And I thought I thought college was such a unique time in a person's life.
Absolutely.
And so that's why I chose to go and get that graduate degree in college student affairs administration.
I think that's a really interesting and important thing to point out is like the importance of having those mentors and guides and people that you can look up to. And especially people who are in maybe fields or careers that you weren't even thinking about, but because they've had such a genuine impact on you, you're like, man, I wonder what that entails, you know what I mean? And I think that's really important to find that. And do you think that has more to do with, or is it a balance? And you could speak to this. You think it has more to do with like the student going out and finding those opportunities, or the environment and the institutions providing those spaces for the students?
Yeah, it's right. I think you hit the nail on it. It's a little bit of both, right? Yeah. Like it has to feel, it can't feel difficult for the student to engage, right? Like it has to feel like there are multiple entry points and that they hear it from different sources, like, and I think at Le Moyne, you see this a lot. It's going to be upperclassmen encouraging students to get involved in something. It's going to be professors, right? And then they're going to hear it from staff. And so, and then they just start to notice like the buzz on campus of, the student, and I'm just going to focus on student clubs for now, but there's different ways you can get involved. Yeah. Right? The other like club I was in was all about performing arts. So, right. So again, like the students that are super into the pack, like that's beautiful, right? That's a community. Yes. And so they are having those sorts of opportunities where like they're with people who are really like into the same thing. And then you're guided by someone, who's just like, right, that much more ahead of you. Yeah. And so it's both.
Been
it's
around
like
the block a couple times.
Been around the block a couple times. So it's both. But it does require a little bit of bravery on the student. You got to show up. You got to show up to the first meeting. You have to audition.
So true.
But it's our job to make it feel like that's going to be an exciting thing to do.
Yes. And when you were in college and you had to embrace being brave, how did you work through that? And like, what were those emotions like?
Yes.
And like putting yourself out there and trying new things and meeting new people.
Right. I think I learned that like even when you're like most of the time that uncomfortable feeling is finite, right? Like it's gonna end, and so you just have to push through, right? Like the audition might not be or like the showing up and it's awkward and I'm the only one and everyone else seems to know each other, but I'm new. But that new, right? Like that all goes away. And so it's like, just persevere. Like I would just be like, just push through this part and it's going to get better. And then I remember in grad school too, even learning like this whole concept around like, and I recognize I was doing this too. Like you just have to remind yourself, a lot of times you've done something like this before. Maybe you haven't done this exact thing, but you've done something like, right? You've made the transition from middle school to high school. Right? Okay, so now you have to do it. You got to transition from high school to college. Yep. Is it the same? No. But were there things maybe like, can you take some lessons you learned? This worked, this didn't, da-da-da. So I think that helped me too, to just like, the more I did it, the easier it became.
That's good. And it's the reframing and that internal dialogue with yourself, you know? And I like the idea of like, reminding yourself it's finite, it's temporary, and then putting yourself at the other end of it. Like, hey, like, a week from now, 2 weeks from now, this isn't going to be new. You know, it's going to be normalized. So yeah, that's a good point. And I'm interested to know, when you were young, what did success look like to young Meredith, and then how has it changed to where you are today?
Yeah. That's a great question. And I think I'll go back, like I think I conflated success with like kind of like prestige and like for example, so I go to college, and getting into that particular school was very difficult, but I was able to do it. But I realized, like, these classes, they were good. I enjoyed it, but I knew kind of early on, I was like, I don't think this is what I want to do. But I didn't switch out, because I was like, well, I came here for this. Like
What were you doing at the time?
I was majoring. So I thought I was going to do newspaper journalism, right?
Okay.
And then I was like, no, that's another thing, right? You realize, in high school journalism, like, this is a different thing.
You knew very quickly.
I knew. I was like, no, like the deadline. I was like, all of that of like, right. I just could not, like, writing on a deadline. I was like, for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And so I picked another major within the school, but I was so afraid to leave, because, you know, I was so proud to tell people, like, oh, I'm in Newhouse. Like, right? Like, you associate yourself with a like a thing or a this. And if I could look, what, girl? No, that's not what mattered. Like, and so now, to me, success isn't about, right, like a title or, I'm not, right, like, I don't worry about, let me climb the ladder somehow, and I'm going to use Moyne and then go work at some bigger institution. I worked at a bigger school and came back here. Like, to me, like, success is, do I feel like the work I do has meaning and impact? And sometimes, like, I feel like the work I do here is so much more meaningful than some other places that I've been that maybe, you know, are bigger or this or that or whatever. And so it's become really clear to me, like, you be careful about letting others define what success is for you, or getting too caught up in, like, what people go, oh, like, ooh.
Performance.
Yes. Don't worry about that so much, which is so easy for me to say on this end of things, right? So I get it, the pressure to, right? Sometimes students, you feel like, I got to go, you know, simple stuff. Like, I want to work at, like, a name brand company. So when I tell people that, they're going to be like, oh, that's so cool.
They're going to perceive me in a certain way.
Yes, in a certain way. Yeah. And so I just, all I say is, and again, nothing against, and we got alums who are at all sorts of very cool places, right? And so it's just critically thinking about it. If you're doing it and you think about it and you're like, no, I'm doing it because I think this place has a lot of opportunity and I feel like I'm going to get mentored super well. And there's, you know, that's awesome. That's awesome. Just don't, it's like, if you don't, I think I was a little too, like, taking things at a superficial level versus asking myself bigger questions.
That's deep. Yeah, that's deep. And that's something that I feel like more young people should lean into, is really becoming aware of, okay, why do I even want to do this thing? Why am I pursuing this thing? What is my intention behind things? What does success look like to me? You know, and then like what you said, like, finding work in things that make me feel, you know, like I'm giving an impact, like I'm actually, you know, doing something that's bigger than myself, because that's going to help to want to keep showing up and doing this thing, rather than just focusing on, performance, labels, how much money am I going to make?
Yeah. And I'm here to say, again, it's just like being true to yourself, because if your plan is like, no, I want to find an opportunity where I can make a ton of money, because that's going to give me the freedom to then give back to causes I care about. You know, I will eventually get to a place, maybe I have freedom with my time, and I can, you know, I can use my talents that way. So it's more like, so again, no shame to my students who are like, no, I'm really looking to be successful. it's just like what you were saying. Successful to what end?
Right.
To for just yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Like that seems like it's going to be, but we have learned, and literature and everything has taught us, and the human experience has taught us, like that really doesn't fill your cup.
Yeah.
There are lots of people who are super wealthy and they're not happy, they're not fulfilled, they're not that. And so, I can't say what, but I think some of that is like, are you pursuing those ends with something else in mind beside yourself?
Right. Is it your true like path that you're following, or is it something that somebody else has placed?
Yeah,
on
that too. Yep.
That's
Absolutely.
also
yes.
a pretty. I mean, I'm sure you get that all the time working with students, where it's like you realize that they're only doing this major or pursuing this thing because it's what their parents have told them or what societal expectations have said they need to do.
Yep.
And that's also a very easy way to get lost, I'd say, in life, where you look up one day and you're like, how did I get here? Like, I didn't really choose this.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's a very vulnerable and scary place to be.
Yeah. And that's why it's like just talking with people. I think sometimes like verbalizing and getting out loud the things that you're worried about.
So good.
Yeah, it tends to be like the first step to actually making a change.
Yes, that's so good. And how important do you think the willingness to reinvent your path or reinvent yourself is? You know, like especially when it comes to career, sometimes you'll choose something and then like you did with your major and stuff, you realize, nah, this isn't it. And a lot of people, like you said, they get stuck, rigidly attached to one path.
Yes.
But I think there's a beauty to being open to, you know what, maybe this isn't it. Let me try something else. Even though it's new, unfamiliar, I don't know what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
Speak on that a little bit.
Yes, absolutely. No, I think that's so important to always just be checking in with yourself, right? And being like, is this how am I feeling about this? Like, is this what and again, it's okay if something surprises you and it's not what you thought it would be, but like, is it serving you still? Like, do you feel like you're showing up and you're at this role? Or again, and this doesn't, we talk about work can look a lot of different ways. It's not even just what you're paid for. Think about like the things that you in your life that you give time and attention to. Like, is it still serving you? And do you feel like you can do your best work there? Because like you were saying, sometimes it's very easy to just go through the motions. And so I think like at Le Moyne, a concept like the Examine, where every day you're checking in of like, you know, where are things going well? Where could I maybe have done better? What am I thankful? Like, so we always start with gratitude. Like there's always something, even if you're in a role that you're like, ugh, this is, there's something in your life to be grateful for, but then you're thinking, you're checking in, right? It teaches you this idea of like every day check in with yourself. And so you can do that from a career perspective too. And the other thing I have like learned about a little bit, you know, just like concepts like the sunk cost fallacy. Yeah, Google it.
Yeah, I've never heard of that. Sunk cost. I feel
sunk
like
cost fallacy. So this idea, and if I get this wrong, it's like you feel like I've put all this effort into a particular plan, right? And so I can't give up on it now. Like I've worked my whole life towards this, and even though I don't think this is the right, I got to keep going.
Okay,
that's not true. And I think we have an alum. His name is Wright Lassiter, and he was like, I'm gonna be a doctor, like it's what I'm gonna do, da 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 da. And so he came and he gave a speech here, and he was talking about like he got like all the way to medical school and was like, this was it, like, and that feeling of like everything he had worked for, and it actually wasn't what he wanted. He now leads one of the largest hospital systems.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So he's still in healthcare, but from a business perspective. But because he was honest with himself, he could be a miserable physician right now, or what have you. But he was able, right? And so I think that's why I love when we bring alums back who share these stories and not all of them are these beautiful, tie it in a bow, and I did this, and I followed this perfect path, and everything worked out for me. I just invite students, like, listen to those. Almost always there are pivots in a person's career.
Yes.
They're almost always, it's way more zigzaggy than you would imagine this linear line that a career would be.
1000%. And yeah, when you can cultivate that understanding, it helps you when you're going through the zigzag.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
That's so important to
You're
be
like,
able to relate.
I'm not failing.
Okay.
I'm actually getting closer to the thing I really want to do.
Oh, man. Because so often it could feel like failure.
Oh.
Man, growth can feel sometimes like you're going backwards. You know what I mean? So
Yes, which I always also like this concept of it's not a career ladder, it's a career jungle gym. And so sometimes you're going to monkey bar across. You're not going to go straight up. Maybe you have to go across, maybe you have to go down to get where you ultimately want to go. It's not always up.
yes, that's beautiful. And then
It's not mine. So
I know it's good. It's good. It's good. It's okay. Everything.
just to be
the
clear.
Nothing new under the sun.
Yes,
Nothing new under
Didn't
the sun.
invent that one.
Yeah, and then and I love that because it really speaks to also just being open to your journey and open to experiences. Like, things aren't always going to go as planned, and a lot of times when we set expectations for how we think things should go and they're not going that way, disappointment,
dissatisfaction.
You know?
Another thing I did not come up with, an expectation hangover.
Dang, that's good.
Right?
Dang, I like that. Yeah. And I guess the hangover is like that disappointment.
Right. Like, I had this it was, this is going to be like this. This was going to be this great experience.
Yeah.
And then it didn't. And so I think that one thing I would say is, like, I think, again, a Lemoyne education at its core should be encouraging students to be curious, right? Like, you might learn something, and you're sitting in a religious studies class, in a philosophy class, and you're like, oh, I've never thought about that, or I've never thought about it that way. And if you can approach life with that, like, I'm curious, that's when you're much less likely to, like, again, get stuck or not notice when things aren't, because you're just approaching with curiosity and, like, okay, this didn't work out. Cool. Like, yay, I get to explore something. I get to explore something else. So again, it's not failure. Like, you're just being deeply curious about who you're called to be.
Yeah. That's good. Curious, not judgmental.
Yes. I'm just curious. I'm curious. I'm asking questions. I'm reflecting on things, right? Like, I'm not taking things for granted. So yeah.
So basically tapping back into that childlike spirit.
Yes.
Because, when we were children,
Oh.
we'll try anything on the playground. We'll ask all the
Yes.
crazy questions. We'll
Yes.
imagine ourselves in every type of situation.
Yes.
And it's like, as we grow up and
We're like,
we get more realistic, it's like that childlike spirit kind of dimmens a little bit. But you
Yeah.
got to tap back into that in small bits, especially when you get older, because if not, like you said, you can start to close yourself off, and life starts to become too rigid when it's not meant to be.
Yes.
And it's okay to mess up and make mistakes, choose the wrong path, but maybe that choice actually led you to the right thing. So was it the wrong choice? Like, stuff like that. And perspective on it really helps. And I think that's dope. But I also want to talk about, obviously, with Lemoyne being a Jesuit institution.
Yes.
How has working at Lemoyne, helped you not only with the work, but also in life?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think, again, having a couple, like, just core beliefs that we do, right? And so the concept of cura personalis, of care for the whole person, of acknowledging, like, there's so many dimensions to people, and of course, like, that's how we approach our work with students. I often, right? You start a meeting with a student, like, how are you? And they'll give me, like, the basic answer. And then I sometimes will be like, no, really, like, or, you're just like, you really stop and you're like, okay, but how's school going? And how's this going? And trying to acknowledge and help them recognize, like, yes, I know we're here for this conversation, but I do genuinely care about you. And I also realize all that other stuff is impacting how you're showing up right now in front of me. But it's true. And then you can kind of apply that to yourself too, of like, okay, like, all right, Mayor, like, how do we think things are going professionally? How do we think things are going personally? How are my relationships? How are things going spiritually? So it gives me tools, right? Even in my own life. And so I really appreciate being at a place that has these core values, talks about these core values, and like to the best of our ability lives them out, right? Because even if we don't do it perfectly, we're striving, right? And so I have been at other places where, sure, maybe there's like values in a mission statement somewhere, but like you would ask, people wouldn't know.
It's not instilled.
It's not instilled. No, it's not. And so I have just really valued that. And I think the importance of community, right? Being at a smaller place and just, again, it reminds you and helps you focus on like your relationships and what that means. So I think between, again, these core values, valuing community, and you've heard me say it before, where this concept, what I love about Jesuit education is I think both in the classroom and outside of it, like this emphasis on asking students big questions, right? Like, again, in my, like, who are you? I mean, like, sounds
Real
simple.
talk,
Yeah,
though.
real talk. Like, but like, who are you? And so, and what, like you were saying, what does success mean to you? I mean, these are big questions. And so I just love being at a place where like, well, yeah, of course we're going to talk about that. Like, what gives life meaning? What gives life purpose? That's a beautiful thing versus, again, chasing something that might be a little bit more superficial.
So good.
Yeah. So, yeah, look, I'll even have my mug. I love Jesuits. Because again, I have had the opportunity to work at another Jesuit institution too. And so I can say with, very, confidently, like, this is real.
Yeah. It's felt.
It's felt.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool. And I
Yeah.
nerd out on stuff like for 500 years, y'all, people have been talking, right? And like, so think of how the world has dramatically changed. And I know it feels like the world is changing so much right now. And it is. I'm not going to, but like, this tradition has been through revolutions, political, commercial, right? Like industrial, right? Everything. And it has endured.
Yep.
And so there is something here, and
So good.
It's
There's
like,
some substance to it that's made it last.
And I think Le Moyne student, you should feel really like that's cool.
Yeah.
Like you're part of something, and it's worldwide. Yes, there's 20 plus institutions here in the U.S., but there's Jesuit colleges and high schools all over the world.
All over.
And you're part of that.
Yes.
So again, nerd out on that stuff.
I love it. You're making me nerd out on it right now. And I think that just, like, that's why, they say your experience is what you make it.
Yes.
I do, there is a lot of truth to that because, like, Le Moyne has so much to offer, but a lot of it is you have to be willing to step outside the dorm. You have to be willing to step outside the classroom and put yourself out there, go meet new people, try new experiences, go to clubs, go to events, things like that. It will really open you up.
Totally agree.
Yeah, it will really open you up. And, a lot of kids have this, like, internal pressure or external pressure as well to have everything figured out. In college, by the time I'm 22, 23, I should have everything my whole life figured out. What do you usually tell students, around that notion? And also, how did you navigate maybe some internal feelings of I need to have everything figured out when you were young?
Yes. And so one thing that strikes me, and again, this is why I'm like, show up to the lectures at Le Moyne because they come with little nuggets. I remember we had the former mayor of Syracuse here, Ben Walsh, And he said something to the effect of like, don't worry about what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Just figure out what's next. And so this idea of like, okay, yeah, like I don't have to have it completely figured out, but I do want to have momentum towards something. Like, right? And so, and trying to normalize not having things figured out. Like every time I meet a student who's undeclared in their major, I'm like, you're just being honest. I'm going to tell you, most of your peers are 100% in this boat, but they pick something so that they felt like they could shut people up and be like, I'm majoring in yada yada. Right? And I'm like,
Very
so
true.
you, the undeclared student, are super brave because you're just being honest about where you are. And you're like, I am exploring. And right? And so that goes throughout your life, though. And so I'm like, if you even talk to most of the adults in your life, like so many of them are figuring it out. And like, I know it sounds flip when adults are like, I don't even know what I'm going to do when I grow up. But there's some truth. Like everyone is, like we were saying, like you're always sort of like figuring out. And so I think as long as you are not stuck in what like is like a negative neutral, where like you're so overwhelmed by figuring it out that you decide to disengage altogether. That's where I'm like, oh no, like no, like let's instead of, and again, like most of the time it's taking something that feels big and breaking it into smaller parts, getting a few wins, you get some momentum going, and then
that momentum carries you to places.
Right. Yep. And it's, I was just talking to some clinical mental health counseling students yesterday, and I was saying to them, I'm like, it's almost like an object in motion stays in motion, right? Shout out to my physics majors. Inertia. That's all I got, though. Yeah. So don't ask me any. Yeah, see?
Yeah, inertia. I got you. I'm not a physics student by any count of the word.
So much respect for those students. But that concept, right? So, meaning, if you're in this process, I need to figure it out. Okay, then like, what's have one conversation with one person, and then schedule another one, right? Or do some online right? You come up with like a few tiny tasks that you could do that gets you like an inch closer, and we string a few of those together. And now we feel right, and that encourages us to keep going.
Yes.
And I would say, like, that's when things fall in people's laps, or, right, like they have this big aha moment. Well, because they put themselves in situations where that could happen.
Yes. By those small incremental steps.
By the small incremental steps. And I would furthermore say, and by leaning into whatever available resource is there. Because could you do it by yourself? Sure. Will it be less stressful and less isolating and less anxiety producing if you do it in community? Yes. So at a place like Le you have so many people who want to help you. And so half of it is just, again, I always have to ask students to do something. So here, like, sometimes I have to ask you to be vulnerable and to say, I don't have it figured out. Right? And
there's so much power in that.
Yeah. Like I said, my brave undeclared student.
Yeah.
To say, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think I want to, but so yeah, I do. I think so much, it's like, get that momentum going and always do it with some help.
It's beautiful. And it's okay to not have everything figured out.
It's okay. It is so okay. It is so okay. But like I said, because there's another concept again in student affairs, right? In working with college students. I am supposed to do two things with students. I am supposed to support you, and I am supposed to challenge you. If I do nothing but support you, y'all, you're going to graduate and be like, I can't figure this out on my own. So I have to do a little bit of, you can do that. And what I'm right. Like I have to help you see what you're capable of. And I'm here to help. But like fundamentally, you have to be the one to do it. And then that is when like these things like crystallize in your brain, like, oh, I can do this.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm going to challenge, but I'm going to support you. Never going to.
Support and challenge.
Yes, challenge and support.
Support and challenge. That's really good. You're right, because if we don't challenge, sometimes we can enable.
Yes. But if everything is a challenge
and no support, then it's like you build resentment. I
yes,
don't even
yeah,
want it.
Right. Like, why am I even trying?
Yeah,
this is impossible.
Yeah, I'm a
yeah,
kid.
Like no. That is not the vibes that we are going for.
This is the military.
Yes, no.
We're not doing that. And the last question before we get into the fast round questions is if you could speak to 20-year-old Meredith, what would you say?
Oh yeah, what would I say? 20-year-old Meredith, right, y'all?
You were in college.
I was in college. I'm like
That's
trying to like, let's see. Let me go back there. Like I think I would just tell her like, continue to push yourself. Don't worry about what other people think about you. Oh my God, what like, again, my little catchphrase is like, comparison is the thief of joy. Like run your own race. Don't worry about what other people are doing. And also like keep having a great time and keep those relationships strong. And I'm here to say, I think this is going to be true for so many Lemoyne students, like the relationships you build here are lifelong relationships. So like the time you spend with your friends is time well spent, right? And I just encourage like lift each other up, support each other. And again, same thing. Do that with your friend. Challenge your friends. Like y'all can strive and grow together. So yeah, I think just it's a little bit of all those things of like don't worry so much, lean into your relationships, have fun. And go to class.
Yes, gotta go to class.
Gotta go to class. Gotta go to class.
What was it all for? And we don't end up getting our degree.
Yeah, like I pay. It's like you might as well like light your money on fire. Like, like get the most out of this place. Yeah. And that's one thing I will say. If I have one regret from college, okay, I have two. One, I did not get to know my professors well enough. I wish I had gone to office hours, gotten to know those. I was super involved outside, but just didn't make the same connections in the classroom. Wish I had done that because I had friends that did that. And again, I see how that, some of them, it put them on a whole different trajectory of their life. Two, I should have studied abroad. I thought I couldn't afford it, so I didn't even look into it. I was like, I can barely afford to be here.
Yeah.
How on earth am I going? And dang, Amy Kennedy is the woman on this campus.
Yeah.
And there are so many ways, whether it's like you only go for a week and then we have all of these agreements. And so please, it's such a life-changing experience. And in my mind, I was like, I'll travel, I'll do that. And then life happened, y'all. Yeah. So that's my last piece.
Okay. Yeah, travel. Yeah, travel abroad if you can.
Travel abroad, like.
Or at least look into it.
Right. Take a class that has an abroad component. The Grace Center sometimes will sponsor opportunities to go abroad. Do not let finances be the reason why you're not curious about it.
Yes.
It shut down my curiosity.
Because it don't cost to ask.
It doesn't cost to ask.
Yeah. It don't cost to go to a class or go to a meeting.
Go to and show up and just say so.
That's great advice.
Yes.
Okay, that's great advice. Okay, Meredith, these are your final fast round questions.
Okay.
So just simple, easy.
Oh yeah.
I already know the answer.
Except I will overthink it.
No, you. I already know the answer to the first one. So
okay.
Okay. The first question is coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Yeah. She got it in her hand. Morning person or night owl?
I guess night owl.
Okay.
but I'm too old for that now. But I certainly am not a morning person.
Okay, all right. Favorite spot on campus?
I like there's that like little table and chairs that's right outside the Grace Center where that what is that? Is that called a portico? Whatever, that yes.
Yeah. It looks out to the street.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And it has
and
that
sometimes
little hill.
there's music playing.
Yeah. Outside the Grace Center.
Yeah.
You talking attached?
Or like yes, by like outside the Panache Chapel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I thought you were talking about Oh, it's on the screen. I thought you were talking about by the Science Center.
Oh, that's
overlooking.
Also. Oh,
yeah. That's probably my favorite.
But it's good to be on. I know it is annoying to walk up hills, but it is nice to be on a hill.
On a hill, yeah.
When you're looking up.
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely. What's a book, podcast, or show that you'd recommend to students?
Oh, Designing Your Life.
Is that a book?
It's a book.
Okay.
It's a book. I'm sure, knowing them, they probably have a podcast too.
There's probably plenty of YouTube videos on that.
There's probably plenty. So Designing Your Life.
Okay, yeah, I want to look into that. That sounds fire. Mm-hmm. Who or what inspires you most right now?
Oh, who or what inspires me most? I don't know, like, okay, I'm gonna go sappy. My dad passed away a few years ago, and so like what inspires me is like what I believe is his legacy, which to me like he was just so giving of his love. Like I never once had to worry like about how he felt about me, and so I just try to show up for people like that, to always like where I can with my friends, with my family, again, and with the students that I get to know really well, like tell them how you feel about them, and so that that's kind of something I'm taking forward.
Wow, his love was very unconditional.
Oh my gosh, unconditional and like easily given and talked about, and he just was I don't know, right? Like he would grab my hand and hold it, like he just
intentional.
Yes, and he didn't like unabashedly, and
That's
so
a good word. Yeah, that's amazing. If you could instantly learn one new skill, what would it be? Anything in the world.
To speak Spanish.
Okay. All right, I gotta understand why everybody says when they say to speak, they say a specific language. Why wouldn't you just do every language?
Okay, fair.
But no. This is your. But I'm like I would have the skill that I can learn any language like this.
Oh, like babble, right? Like you just like it.
Like once I hear it, I know it.
Yeah,
like that would be my skill.
That would be.
Because you could be confined to Spanish. That's cool.
But
I'm over here speaking Portuguese, and I'm going to go
Japanese,
over here to speak
yeah, I know.
Ukrainian.
So, yes. Because I do.
Japanese.
Even those, like, there's that guy.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm talking about.
He goes into, like, stores and restaurants.
And just starts talking. And he's like, I know your language.
Isn't that
and
crazy?
And it just, the joy people get. And he knows a couple phrases, right? And he's learned, like, dances and things, like, of different people's cultures. And just how much people appreciate that.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. Learn them all.
Yeah, learn them all. If it's a skill. Favorite food spot in or around Syracuse?
Oh, I know. Well, I see, because here's the thing. There is not a cuisine I dislike.
Okay.
I love it all.
You're not a picky eater.
I am.
No. You don't care.
Don't care.
It's on the plate. It's edible.
It's on the plate. It's right. Like all sorts of, again, cultures, doesn't matter. Okay, but where am I going? Because I love good food.
Yeah, you gotta choose one.
Yeah, I'm
tough.
terrible. Okay, so then I don't want to choose one. So I'm gonna go to the Salt City Market.
Okay. Was that Sean chose the Salt City Market because he said there's a plethora of restaurants.
Yeah, like
okay.
you can.
Well, how about one of your favorite? Like, what comes to mind when you think of like a spot?
Like, what comes to mind?
Like a good spot.
A good spot. I love Oh My Darling.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've heard that's really good. I have to try it.
That is really good.
I like the aesthetic of it too.
Yes, that's it. Right.
Yeah,
like,
it just seems very. Yeah.
You can go see a show at the Landmark right after.
I think it has a speakeasy under it too.
It does.
Yeah.
The Fitz.
Oh, okay.
For those of age.
Oh, yep. Yep. There we go. I went a couple years back for like it was like a jazz fest. They were having jazz all over. So that was one of the spots. One word to describe Lemoyne.
impactful.
Never had that one. That's good. And the last question is, if everyone from the Lemoyne community was listening right now, what would you want them to know?
Career Advising and Development is located in Riley Hall. No, but in 344. But seriously, one thing I'll come back to, like, please know the people that work here because they believe in this place and they love students. This is a student-centered institution. I have been at other places that are not. And so please, like, show up however you can, and we come to meet you. But know, for a lot of people, they could be working other places, but they choose to work here because of the opportunity to be at a small school, get to know students, and really make a difference. And so honestly, like, you're doing me a favor when you show up and you're like, I'm lost. Like, oh my, thank you. Like, now you're letting me feel like the work I do, right? Like, that my day has made a difference. Like, so I just encourage students, like, walk into the office, make the appointment, show up to office hours, get to know people who work here outside, right? If it's your professor, get to know that person outside of class. I guarantee you it may feel like, especially I think sometimes with faculty, looking back, I kind of put them on a pedestal and I would be like, oh, like, they don't want to talk to me, or I don't have any questions, so what would I even talk about? Y'all, they all have a story. Even if you ask them, like, why did you get into this? Like, why are you so passionate about sociology?
You're hitting.
So, go talk, like, just know the people here care.
Yes. Go be a dolphin.
Go be a dolphin.
Yeah, go be a dolphin. But Riley Hall 344.
Riley Hall 344.
That's where you can find
Lemoyne.edu/careers, Lemoyne.joinhandshake.com. Handshake is also an app. Yeah.
The full thing.
The full thing.
Okay, Meredith, thank you so much for this conversation. This was amazing. I appreciate you. We'll definitely have to get you back on.
Would love that.
We'll do it in Riley Hall
344.
You know? But that is it for today's podcast. We want to give a huge thanks to LCTV for making this podcast possible here in the studio space, to the Carroll College of Arts and Sciences, to the Grace Center, and to Put God First, whose support helps to make this podcast run each and every week. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to the Grace Center and LCTV in the links below so you never miss out, and I will see you next week.